be thoughtful of your questions today, just in what you're asking, and please bear with us as we are navigating some new waters with antitrust type things. And I think Dave is going to go into that just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So that being said, Dave and Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
Thanks. So we will be talking about the data that we have, and in particular, we've had some questions, some problems, some challenges with Zillow and the data. And as we just heard, there are some antitrust things that go along with that anytime we're talking about someone, either a vendor or a broker. And I'm just going to put something in the chat window real quick here. It's a link to a really cool video that NAR has. Take a look at it later when you have more time. And it'll just kind of help explain why we have some of the antitrust challenges that we have here in terms of what we can or can't say. So let me continue. Let me start here with my presentation. Let me bring that up. So you should see that now. Mark, is that showing?
Yes, it is.
Cool. So we're here today to talk about some of the things that are going on with Zillow in terms of the data that we've had. Some of you have heard about that, but as I just mentioned, I've got two slides here that are all the legalese around antitrust. And basically, you know, antitrust breaks down into a number of different areas around pricing, around vendors, around not boycotting, or grouping of, around vendors like that. So we're just not going to go into those areas today. I'm not going to read you these first two slides, but you have them there. And if questions come up that kind of go back into these areas, we'll just need to avoid those. So Zillow. Many of you heard some of the changes that Zillow's going through. In 2020, I think it was, they announced that they are going to become a brokerage company, and they have a broker who's licensed in the state of California, and that Zillow broker has been going around to different MLSs in California and joining as a broker participant in those MLSs. As you know, if you're a broker, you have the ability, you're entitled to get the data for IDX websites. And so as Zillow is making this transition to becoming a broker, they were discontinuing the data feed that they had from before and getting a new IDX feed. And so one of the questions that go through people's mind is, well, why are they doing that? So what I like to just remind people is that Zillow, as a vendor at MLS Listings, they have what we call an opt-in data feed. So that means that they only get the listings where your brokers go in and check the box. We have something for brokers called a broker control center, and brokers can, or office managers can go into the broker control center and then check which areas they want us to send the listings to. Only about 90% of the people, and that's a lot, that is a critical mass of listings, but it's not 100% of the listings go to Zillow. It's simply because the brokers haven't checked those boxes. They don't want us to send them, so we don't. And that's Zillow as a vendor. But then once they get a brokerage and they're part of the MLS, the IDX feed that they're entitled to has all the listings in it. So that's why they were making this change from the vendor feeds to the IDX feeds. So now if we kind of go back a little bit, you know, they joined as a broker at some of the MLSs in California, one of them being Sierra MLS. So as you know, we have a data share with many different MLSs across California. We have probably one of the biggest ones, I think, anyways. Mark, what do you, we're about?
Yeah, the last numbers we totaled up, yes, we move more listings to more places than any other MLS in the state of California.
Yeah, and that's because a lot of it is, you know, CRMLS is huge, but they don't get all of the Northern California MLS data. And we get the Northern California MLS data now, as well as the Southern California data MLS. And, you know, if you're curious about that, you can go into Matrix and you can just see how many active listings there are. I did this on, Mark, I did this on Friday, and we were at 58,000 active listings in Matrix. So that included, you know, Southern California, Northern California, all different places, but it's got to be one of the larger, if not the largest ones in the state. But what that means is we have a contract with those other MLSs that we partner with. And the contract says that if you're a broker, then you should be able to have access to that data, right? You'd all want access to their data, and they want access to our data. So what CRMLS was doing was they were sending our listings through this brand new IDX feed that Zillow got from CRMLS. And they then didn't need the feed that they had from us from before. And so the IDX feed from CRMLS took precedence over the data. So our data would be sent to CRMLS, and then CRMLS would take it, package it up into an IDX flavor and send it to Zillow, and then Zillow would display it. Unfortunately, there were numerous problems, issues with inaccurate data being displayed on the Zillow website. Zillow had announced when they were going through this that they had some challenges. You may have read about it. There are things like missing photos and other things like that. But what we found was more than that. And unfortunately, we had a broker who had a $2 million listing and had about 16 different things wrong in the listing. More than just the photo stuff that Zillow had published as their areas that they were working on. And so I don't know if the problems were with the CRMLS data or the Zillow receiving it or displaying it, but at the end of the day, they had lots of problems with the listing. This brand new seller just, you know, signed with an agent, and they put the listing in our system. It goes to CRMLS, and CRMLS goes to Zillow. And then boom, the seller, many of your sellers will do this. They'll go look at the listing after you tell them it's active. They'll go to different places and they'll look at their house for sale. And that's what this one seller did. And they saw 16 different things wrong with the listing. And for whatever reason, they felt like they had a problem with the agent, and they fired the agent. So the agent lost that listing just after it went active. So the listing agent called us, said, "Hey, MLS Listings, what can you do to help?" So we immediately escalated this problem to both CRMLS and Zillow, because we don't know where the issues reside exactly. And we called both of them, escalated this, and after about a half of a day, there wasn't any movement on the issue. So we then took a different tact, and we reached out to CRMLS and said, "Can you please just stop sending our data to Zillow in that IDX feed while we work through this?" And CRMLS was kind enough to go ahead and do that. So by the end of the day, our data was not going to Zillow through CRMLS, which meant that then we had to go back to Zillow and get that old data feed that we had working back again, which we did right away. And so then our data was then on Zillow through our original path, which only had like the 90-some% of the listings, not the 100% that they had through the other one. But we got that working again. And at that point, we sent an email out to our board of directors, to the AORs. We sent it to an email to the all of the brokers and office managers here at MLS Listings, and said, please talk to all the agents, because we had this one problem and we think we've resolved all this, but if anybody has a active listing, it's probably a good idea just to check it out there. We also put a notice on the Pro dashboard. So, you know, when you log into the Pro dashboard, there's that area that has some notices there. So we put a notice there telling all subscribers, please just check out your listing on Zillow just to make sure it's okay. You can always call Zillow and ask them for help with that. if you see something inaccurate or wrong with your listing. Or you can give us a call too, because we've got escalation points within different organizations at Zillow. And sometimes we have a faster path to getting something fixed there. So, so what we did was we sent out all these notices telling people, just go ahead and check them out. And if you see any problems, let us know how, and we'll see what we can do to help speed that along. So, you know, these are some of the things that we did to protect the data, the integrity of the data. The integrity of the data is everything. If the data is not correct, that's, you can see how it impacted this one listing agent, but it would also impact anybody looking at the data, thinking incorrect things about that listing that was there. So we think that the data's restored back to our data feed correctly. But one of the things we're just mentioning to everybody is if you have an active listing, you just want to go and look at it, make sure it's still looking good there. So, oops, I probably should have brought this up because that's what I was just saying. If the call to action here is to check on your listing on Zillow, make sure it looks good. We think it probably is, but you know, we have thousands of listings and we can't look at them all. So we've looked at a whole bunch of them and we're not seeing that pattern anymore, but please take a look at them. And if it's something that we can help you with, let us know. You may be an agent of Zillow's that's got all the right contacts and everything, and they'll, but if not, you know, let us know. On the screen there, you'll see our customer support. Different ways you can reach our customer support, either by phone, by email, or you can go to that website there and there's that chat. And if there's something we can do to help escalate things there, by all means, that's what we're here for. So what's going to happen now going forward? So, you know, we've heard from Zillow last year that they were going to join all the MLSs, and they have not actually applied yet to be a broker here at MLS Listings, but we expect that they will. They do want that IDX data feed that has everything in it. There's, you know, some listings they're not getting access to today through the vendor feed. So they do want to get that. We are expecting that they will eventually fill out the forms and come here. But here's an interesting data point is that last year when they came up with this idea to join all of the MLSs, that's a lot of MLSs they were going to join. That's a lot of work on their part to make the change on those data feeds. It's a lot of engineering work on their side. So they actually published a plan on how Zillow was going to do that. And by published, I mean they let all the MLSs across the nation know. And there was a step in their process that said that Zillow would create a sandbox. Sandbox, by the way, is kind of a software development terminology to say, here's an area that we're gonna write this code. We're going to make it so that it reads the data differently and displays it. And we're going to put it in this special sandbox that nobody else can see. It's not public, and make that sandbox available to the MLS and to Zillow testers together so they can jointly work on that. And when that came out, most of the MLSs across the nation said, yeah, that's not our testing responsibility. That's if a new broker comes along and they want the data feed, it's up to that new broker to test it. So we're not going to do that. And we looked at that and we said, hey, if we can help, we should help. I mean, particularly if you've got a website with lots and lots of eyeballs, if it's not done correctly, there's ramifications to that, which we've seen. So what we've said was, we're committed to doing everything possible that we can do, and if that means, and if this particular broker wants to give us access to it to work together with them, then we'll do that. Now, I don't know if that's still the case because that was something that was in their original plan when they put it out there, but we're hoping that it is, and we're hoping that we can sit down with them and help them figure out what they need to do to test our listings before they go live with them. So if they can give us a sandbox environment to work with them on, we can do that in a safe environment and find issues and then help them on their side resolve those before they put them on their public site.
And Dave,
Yeah.
it really does sound like this is not an us versus them. This is two cooperating organizations that are working through issues, but finding solutions. But we're not going to give up our responsibility to our subscriber, as you say, to ensure the integrity of that data. Correct?
Yeah, we're not going to build a wall and go, hey, this is what our responsibility is. This is what your responsibility is, and our subscriber with the active listing just loses out if something doesn't work there. That's not the way that we approach things. So it's our DNA says, let's do what we can do to help, and particularly if it's something that's involving some testing in a private area like that. That's kind of, we have software developers on staff, so we're familiar with that process. So if that's something that Zillow is still doing, we are certainly going to take advantage of that, and just to try to ensure the integrity of the data as it goes. And that's not just something that we would do with Zillow. That'd be any brokerage that came along and said, hey, we're going to do, if we're one of your brokers and we could help them, we're going to do that. So.
And Dave, I want to get just a little bit of clarity for our folks on, there's Zillow, the vendor, right? Who works with the public, and they get a certain data feed. And then now there's probably going to be Zillow, the broker, and that's two different sets of data, right? One is the broker deeper data than the Zillow, the vendor data.
It is. The broker data is more.
Okay.
So it's like the complete set of data, and the vendor data is data where it's only the data that where brokers have said, I agree to send my listings to Zillow.
Right.
And so it is most of the data. Let's not paint the picture incorrectly here. It's most of the data, but it's not all the data. And that's why they're excited about bringing in the IDX data feed, because it gets them those last remaining, percentages of data that they don't have today.
Right.
So they do want that, and it does mean that they had to change their engineering side to bring that in. So there was engineering work to do, software work to do on the Zillow side to make that happen, and it's caused these problems that we're seeing.
Right. And with all vendors, the MLS has rules to how they can publish that data, where they can publish that data. There are rules relating to the vendor, but there's also rules regarding data relating to all of our brokers. It's an equal playing field for all of our brokers, including large ones like this.
You're absolutely right. So once they get the IDX data feed, that's the same feed that any broker or any agent who has a website is getting the similar information, and they all have to follow the same rules. That's part of the rules in agreeing to get that data feed, is to follow the set of rules that we have. And it's not just our rules; these are the same rules that most MLSs have around this data.
Right. I just want to remind everybody, we've got that chat room available if you've got any questions on this topic or any other MLS topic. That's what the MLS on Mondays meeting with the score contingency is all about, is getting, not only getting to talk to us and getting answers, but please providing us feedback. Because Dave, we've gone through a change of how we collect feedback and what we do with it. And I think, I've been around a dozen years now almost. We're a lot more responsive to feedback now. We're actually doing something with it.
We are now. So, and sometimes it takes us a little while to do some of that. So, I like to point at members only is a great example, Mark, where we got a lot of feedback in May of last year when we rolled out NAR's clear cooperation policy. And then we got a lot of feedback around how we could evolve or make changes to coming soon to make it better for everybody to use. And it took us a little while to take all of that feedback and then incorporated it into something, and we rolled that out. And a lot of the feedback we got at first came from listing agents.
Right.
And then we got another second round of feedback once we made that changes from people who are representing buyers and saying, well, what about this? How does this work? What about that? So then we made another set of changes based on the continual feedback that was coming. And I think we exited 2020 with a set of things that kind of incorporated what both sides of that equation needed, but yet there were still some more things that came up. Recently, there were some changes around how DOM was displayed, around seeing the price change history.
Right.
And so our the board of directors met again in it was either January or February, and then said, okay, we got this, now we got this feedback around the DOM and around price changes. And then we changed some policies around that and said, well, let's go ahead and change those. Those ones are that we've still been working on. So those ones aren't out and rolled out yet, but it is something that we got a lot of feedback on and are in the process of making those changes.
Right. And we actually have a brand new email address. In fact, feedback@mlslistings.com is,
yeah.
We're opening up new avenues.
Feedback through email. There's a lot of meetings like this that we go to. There's office meetings that we go to. Gosh, there's so many different presentations we're doing. Mark, how many of these presentations do you think we do a month?
Wow. I'm going to go at least 10 to 12 a week. So that's about 48. I mean, we hit thousands of people last year. I always like the story of Dave Wetzel is named the CEO of the company. And that afternoon, you sent everyone home on March 16th of last year. I've never known a CEO being their first action is everyone get out of here. And so
yeah, now that's almost a year since then.
So yes, we do. There's so many ways to come and see us, come and talk to us, watch the videos. On the members only thing, it's been an exciting, couple years. We had clear cooperation that came down from NAR. That was sort of a catalyst for the coming soon alterations to members only. And then we got that kicked in, and then came NorCal Data Share, which was sort of the culmination of years of work. So for these folks in Santa Clara County, if you could just give a quick, what is the NorCal Alliance and how does this new data share work?
Sure. So many people know that we started off, 5 or 6 years ago with data sharing with MLS. So we started with Sierra MLS. We had, I don't remember the order that we went in, but if you look at, we've got Sierra MLS, we've got the MLS,
right,
which is West LA, Beverly Hills. Last year we added ChrisNet. So ChrisNet is Southland Regional. Where's that Ventura area of Southern California? We've got Bay East,
yeah, of course,
Contra Costa Bridge. So the three in the East Bay. And I believe that's kind of where we got a lot of momentum and got to that point.
Well, and we gained a lot of knowledge along the way.
We gained a ton of knowledge along the way of what, and again, just like you said, where we go out and we talk to people and we find out what they're like or dislike or how can improve. And so we got a lot of feedback in that process that said things like, well, we weren't displaying DOM, and we didn't have some of the history of things, and we didn't. So there was a lot of things that we improved along the way, but improving the data share along the way sometimes is hard because that changes on both sides need to take place.
Right.
And so what we found is that our Northern California partners were always willing to listen and understand the issues. We would have our finger on the pulse. And so we would be able to come to the other partners in Northern California and say, here's what we need to do. We need to make this change. We need to make this improvement. And they're always willing to listen. And so then in January, we added San Francisco, Barry's in the North Bay and MetroList in the Sacramento and the Central Valley. And so now we've got most all of Northern California covered. And when we did that, we did some of these new things that we hadn't been doing before. Disclosures should be there. If somebody uses disclosures on the other side and puts it in, then we should be able to have that. And so we should be able to see, days on market and these types of things that we weren't doing before with the Southern California MLSs. They were a little just harder to make those things happen.
And the Southern California big data share, we learned a lot along the way, but all that benefited the local marketplace. This concept of a local solution to local needs for a local marketplace, because our Redwood City subscribers, their client is actually in Fremont and is moving over to the peninsula, or they're in Redwood City and they're going to Sacramento now. The Northern California migration pattern, it now sort of fits the data share.
Yeah, it does. And your license allows you to sell anywhere. You may not be that agent that wants to operate in an area you're less familiar with, but if you have the data, you can figure that out and decide whether that's something you want to do, or maybe to use the data to go find an agent to refer to. But having the data gives you those options to figure out what's best for you and your client.
Okay. Dave, what about quick question, what about the lock boxes though? Now that we're all sharing all the data, there's no change to lock boxes.
No change. So the lock boxes are still the same process that you used before. If whatever process you used before to go enter into that other area, you still do the same thing now.
So I've got a question, David, and this may land on that on antitrust, and you'll let us know if it does, because we can't go there. Two questions, and this is from the anonymous and ND. Is this a Zillow financial grab for the future? That's a pretty broad question. Zillow is not a nonprofit organization by any means.
I think they have an obligation to their stockholders to try to figure out how to do that. But, that's probably not something we can really discuss in detail here.
Right. They've got their business model. We've got ours, so on and so forth. Second question, what kind of cost analysis has MLS Listings completed that we, the subscribers, may have to pay for as a future cost passed on to us? That's a long one.
Cost analysis that we've done where we may have to raise the rates in the future to pass something along.
Yeah.
I don't have anything on our roadmaps right now that I would say that in order to do something, I'm raising rates.
Right.
In fact, what we're trying to do is try to figure out how to either bring on new services without raising rates or lower rates, or how do we increase, instead of looking at dollars, I try to look at value. How do we make the value better? The value could be bringing in additional services with no extra costs. The value could be lowering the price. There's many different ways to increase the value. And right now we're often looking at how do we increase that value that we have. And we've got a number of different things that we're taking a look at right now in various stages. We've always got there's always a line of vendors who are knocking on our door saying, hey, here's this really cool product, and if you just pay us this amount, you can make it available to all of your subscribers. And we do look at those, and we do an analysis of those and figure out which ones of those are things we want to do or not.
But I would say, and you work at the pleasure of the board, I work at the pleasure of you, all that kind of stuff. The board, since you've come on as president, you guys have really tackled some big issues with not only things like clear cooperation, but also just the leadership management of our organization. And the MLS you guys have built is very healthy.
Yes, yeah. What we ended up doing, so as Mark mentioned earlier, I took over right when COVID started. In fact, the day of shelter in place. And so one of the things we did was we saw declining, revenue when in March, April, and May. And so what we started doing is we started really diving down into the structure of our business, the contracts we have with vendors, our organization. I reorganized our company that we had at that point. We went back and renegotiated contracts. And so even though our revenue went down for 2020, we were stronger coming out of 2020.
Right.
And so soon as our revenue becomes more predictable again, we're still in a little bit of a lumpy space in terms of revenue. So it's not as predictable as it used to be pre-COVID.
Right.
And once we get past that, what we want to do is we want to say, okay, we built this framework of lowering our costs. Now what can I do with it? How can I bring on that next new service to increase the value and not increase the cost to our subscribers for that? So cool. That's something that we're excited, but we still need we still need COVID to finish.
Yeah.
Revenues to become predictable again. But we're doing all the homework now. So when that happens, I can go to the board and I can say, here's the different options that we might have.
Right. We won't be starting from square one. We will have laid a nice foundation to, start building the walls on this property.
Yeah.
Hey, question from the audience. Do we know, have they, Zillow, become a broker in other states, or is it just California?
I believe it's other states.
Okay. I thought they would Arizona or Texas or something like that was my
I think they started in Arizona, yeah.
Okay. And then there is all it says is like showing time. So, a couple of weeks ago, Zillow made a pretty big announcement to the industry. And we're still discussing it. We're still thinking.
We are. So we were, towards the end of last year, we started looking at scheduling application that we could bring in as a member benefit, not charge people extra for it. Right. Going back to that previous question. And we were kind of zeroing in. We did an analysis of a number of different ones out there, and showing time looked the best. And we had not signed up with showing time, although we were heading that direction. If I were to predict, that's probably where we would have been. But then Zillow announced that they bought them for a huge amount of money. Right. And so that kind of puts the whole equation off center here. And so now what we need to do is we need to go back to our board and say, well, which we would have done anyways. We would have gone to the board and said, here's the reasons, here's the analysis, here's the feedback from all the subscribers, and move forward whichever way was the appropriate way. Now what we're finding is a number of vendors out there who were coming out with showing applications or scheduling applications. And so I just got one today that's been prevalent in Canada, but never in the US. And now they're using this as an opportunity to come to the US. Hey, awesome. So there's probably about, in the last 2 weeks, I think I've gotten 3 vendors that have said, we have something you should look at. They weren't in our original analysis. So we have to go back and do that analysis and then bring it back to the board and say, this is what we found out. And showing time is, may still be an option. Yeah. It may not, it's got different dynamics with it. And then here are these other options. Here's the costs associated with them. And we'll have that discussion once we finish some of that homework on that.
And it's the same attitude of, yes, we are going to ensure the integrity of the data and protect your data, but we're also going to ensure the service package of MLS Listings, spending the money correctly as per the right governance and guidance.
That's correct. That's very correct.
So, hey, another question coming in. Let's see. Since Zillow is now a broker, they're not with us.
But they are in California.
Yeah. They are in California, and we expect them. Let's say down the road they are. Would they be entering their listings into Zillow, or would they be entering their listings just like they are today? Enter those listings right at pro.mlslistings.com.
They would be operating just like any other brokerage where they put them into MLS Listings. They'd get a data feed. and then display those listings on their website, just like everybody else's websites have all the listings on them from, and the ability to search those, have clients search those. So yeah, same process.
Okay. You know,
they haven't joined yet, so we're just, but we anticipate that they will soon.
Right. Hey, that looks like it's it for questions, Dave. We're at a half an hour. I'm trying to think. I think the biggest thing is feedback. You know, feedback at MLSlistings.com. Come to our sessions. You know, go to one of Carlos's webinars. Carlos Rodriguez's webinars for us. He's there to get your feedback. It's working. There's a change in how we do business these days.
There is. Yep.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna. Is there anything else you've got for our people, Dave? Or
no, that was the last slide that I had that we were on just a little while ago. So that was pretty much what I think I had.
Very cool. I like doing this show. It's as I told Jody, who there she is. She just popped on. This is like this is not like the arena rock, 30,000 people in the stands. No, this is just a nice intimate nightclub where we can have good discussions. It's really cool. Thank you for allowing us to play here.
Thank you, Dave. And we set this up because there's been so much unknown and all these different stories coming out about, well, my listing was wrong, my photos are wrong, and we just wanted to make sure people knew how to fix it, what channels they have. So I'll grab all those phone numbers and the web addresses that you had in your slides and make sure people get them. And then I know I said I wasn't going to record this, and I did. So the question is, can we post your piece of it for anybody who may have missed this?
Absolutely. And then I guess just the one thing, Jody, that I want to I mentioned it a couple of times, but just to make sure everybody has it in their mind, just check your listing on Zillow. Often that's part of your workflow. Anyways, you create a new listing, you go check it out and see what your future clients might be looking and seeing. So a lot of people are already doing that, but if you haven't, check it out. Just make sure it's correct, and if we can help, escalate things with Zillow, by all means.
And not to call them out, but there are all kinds of other websites out there that also have home information. Realtor.com. I feel like I don't know if Trulia is the right one, but there's one that's similar to what that is, that just has information. So just check everywhere, it sounds like.
Yeah, and a lot of times we have access to escalate those to any of those because they're getting the data from us. The last thing that those places want is to have us turn off the faucet for them. And so, because that's always a possibility, if they're not going to fix the data, we turn it off, or we could turn it off. So they will jump through hoops to work with us and figure out how to get the data resolved, any data issues resolved. So that's where we've got a little bit of a benefit over the individual who may try to call some of those and get something resolved.
Yes, this is not the Central Nevada MLS. This is Silicon Valley, Monterey Peninsula. This is the real estate that everyone wants to see. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
But I'm sure Central Nevada is a fine place to be.
I'm sure it's
in winter.
Great. Right. It's through Highway 80, right?
Yeah. Just
keep going through Winnemucca.
Hey, Jody, Michelle Ronco is here to join us as well. I wanted to give everyone sort of an update on what's going on at AccuList.
Awesome. Yep. Hi, Michelle.
There she is. Michelle, meet Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Meet Michelle.
Hi, Dave. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Michelle.
Michelle, I'll let you run from here. You know how to do this.
Oh. Yeah, if you don't mind, Jody, I don't know if anybody has any specific questions or data questions. We recently have been going around telling people about some county data that they can use for content, for marketing. And we've found out that most people don't know it exists and that it's available. And so we were hoping to give everybody a sneak peek of this tool. Okay, great. So let me just get back to where I was. Do you mind if I share screens, Jody?
Please do. And I think you're going to be coming back, if I'm not mistaken, next month to really take a deeper dive into these things. Is that what we had, Mark?
Yeah.
For March?
So don't give up everything, Michelle. Save a little.
Oh, surprise.
I'm like, I didn't know that. Jody, I do. They put me on the calendar and I go and I will look forward to it. It'll be fun. There's so much happening right now. It's amazing what's going on out there. So I won't, these graphs will let you in on it, but I will save all the deep dive for next time. Gosh, Mark, how many times have we done this? And people say, I had no idea. And they almost are a little angry that we hadn't talked about this before. So where I am is MLSlistings.com. Now, some people, you go to pro.mlslistings.com every day, and Matrix is, first stop in the morning. But there's also our consumer-facing site, which has a lot of information and some really valuable tools. And so what I'm going to focus on here is up on the top, you see buy, sell, rent, but you see Media Center. So I probably lost some of you already. This is called Media Center. And there's a wealth of information here for you guys to use for marketing. So starting off with what do you like? What do your clients like? In this tab, in this Media Center, there are market snapshots. There's content in the form of the written word, and then also some graphs and charts. So I'm going to just kind of walk you through, again, MLSlistings.com. But this is, for example, so I always say, Mark, not the most attractive chart maybe, but very informative in that it takes all of the county data and shows you what's happened year over year for all of these different things, median price, average price, days on market and all that stuff. So if you're looking for like a, quick information, if you want to have a couple of numbers on the top of your head for what's going on right now in the counties, this is a really great start to that. It's also, if you're going to start your marketing at kind of a high level, it includes probably a lot of your clients, right? If you did a couple counties, you could reach a lot of folks. So this is the market snapshot. Now I'm going to go back.
And Michelle, I think it's important to note with that chart, yeah, it may not be the prettiest thing in the world, but boy, we've got some customers, these are subscribers have customers who love their numbers. Just as much as Michelle loves her.
I was going to say, who doesn't love numbers, Mark? What are you suggesting?
But they, I like a good chart. Give me a good line graph, I can understand it. But other people just want to see the raw numbers, and that's what that chart's all about.
Yeah, I consider that an educational one. I mean, you could get some people like me that really dig that. But there's some, we all have the engineering clients, and we all have the people who want to see, years and years. But that's always kind of a good one. Reaches a broad audience, which I think is important in marketing because you can't always, you can't always do a deep dive on for every client, at the time. So that one I really like. The other one, for people who are looking for content, newsletters, something where you're going to maybe show a chart, but you also want to have some context behind it. There's a piece that our partner economist, Elliot Eisenberg, does, and this is something that we do quarterly. It's a national look. He does a regional look, and then he does it by county. So as I go through this, 2021 real estate market off to a hot start. And so he has kind of a summary here. And then as I scroll down, and I know I'm going through this quickly, but you guys can always go take a look. It goes by county. So, here's a little bit of a summary of what's happened so far at the county level. So you can, show Santa Clara County, here it is, and you can take this content and repurpose it. MLS Listings attribution would be great, but you can, don't create the data, create the dialogue, go out and tell some people about this or send this to someone. So lots of content here for you guys to spend your time elsewhere because there's a lot happening. So that was the written words. We do it for condos and townhomes, or what we call common interest. We do quarterly looks. I mean, Mark, there's always something new here in terms of what we're producing for the data.
Got it.
So should I move on to the?
Oh yeah, you got to show them that.
I love these.
Yeah.
I love it. Interactive market snapshots, or what we call.
Let's go to Santa Clara County though. Let's be civilized, as they say. Love my San Mateo County people, but
we had to default to a county, Mark. Thanks for calling us out. So we defaulted to San Mateo, but you can see I easily changed it to Santa Clara. And then all years by quarter, or 3 years by month. I like to. My brain works on months. I know quarters are great sometimes, but let's take a look at months. And so basically, what these are are constantly updating graphs, right? So they just are always updating, and they're completely interactive and downloadable. So if you're looking for something, an attractive piece to add to your you know, your marketing strategy, these are great. We start off with inventory, but there's months to sell, close sales. So for example, as I scroll over my mouse, you can see that it shows you the numbers. So a lot of times people are saying, I don't want to go into Matrix and farm, you know, and pull out data. It's all right here. Yeah, look what happened in January 21. So single family homes, 617, condos and townhomes, 269. Now, if you say my buyers are particularly interested in single family, no condo townhomes, you can click on it and it goes away, right? Nice. So you can download the graph with both data points or trend lines, or with a single trend line. So you can, you know, bring them in, bring them out. I often roll my mouse over and then take a screenshot of it to send to people so that you can actually see that last number and you don't have to try to figure out what it was. So you can either download it by this download button here, or you can just be knowledgeable or take a screenshot. I mean, either way, median price trends. Look at that. Yeah, I told Jody I would not. Spoilers.
Yeah, don't go there.
This is good. See, you guys come next month and we're gonna talk about all of this.
Oh, we're gonna bring a buffet of data.
I just can't help myself. There's so much happening. And just spoiler alert, come back with us, because you know the common interest market has been a little down in Santa Clara County. And if anybody saw the retrospective, they know that all 5 of our counties, right, had an increase year over year of sale volume, so dollars transacted, and closed sales, right? But the condo townhome, only Santa Clara County in 2020 didn't exceed 2019 in both dollars traded and closed sales. So it's been a little down. It might be an opportunity for some buyers. So yeah, sorry, Jody, I lied.
No.
There it is.
And I was just thinking to myself, I just chatted to Malia, who we work together, and I said, what if we took these ugly graphs and put them into digestible things that you could use, you use free on Canva? So a lot of times people are like, my clients won't get this. So maybe, you know, we'll show you how to pull the information. We'll show you how to get it. Yeah. And we'll show you how to make it pretty.
No, absolutely. Because
for the non-engineers.
Yeah, and data people like myself. No, these are some of the charts and things we have could be reformatted. The data is the star, right? So you take the data, let us do the work for you, take the data, and then turn it into something your clients like. Some people like words. Most of our Aculus reports, Jody, have some combination of written, graph, table, because people digest things differently. But man, this is a great start. If your clients ask you, why is the difference between average and median? Or I saw in the newspaper average, why would you use a median? They're both here. In fact, if I scroll down a little further, there's a table a chart that has them together. So if you ever wanted to explain to people, well, here's the difference between what happens in Santa Clara County average median, you know, you can definitely do that. There's median days on market. I love these things. I get all excited, Jody. I can't help myself. But this is a resource that most people don't know about, and I think could save people a lot of time. So I said, Mark, please give me 5 minutes or 15 to come on and talk.
You get an hour. You get a whole hour next time.
Okay, great. Because we're going to be talking about the ins and outs and what's happening in the markets. And, you know, that's a conversation in and of itself. But when you're looking for generating content, I know nobody stopped being in the swing of things. We know that from just the number of new listings we saw in December and January, and so far in February. But, you know, for all of you guys that are out there hustling, to create content, you know, there's ways for us to do some of that for you. So then you're just the expert, you're just the one pulling all of it together. So those are our web widgets. That's our media center. I don't know if anyone has any questions or if there's anything else.
I'm not seeing any right now, Michelle, but I'm thinking back to last week. We were with Bailey Properties over on the coast, right? And you know, I enjoy working with that organization, and certainly Robert Bailey and his brother Paul have run a great team over there. And Robert said something that just struck me. You know, it was like the golden moment. Understanding your market performance will differentiate you from all other competitive aspects of the marketplace. You will just, knowing this material that you provide and understanding it, and listening to the analysis that you provide, just elevates your pitch. It elevates your confidence. It elevates, how customers will think what you know in the industry. I think, I highly recommend that everyone join Michelle at the next show, because it's good content, and it's I like the way you help them with the vocabulary and understanding things too. I think that's important.
Well, it's all about context, Mark, and usually we can count on our old faithful springtime highs and summertime lows. And
right.
To be honest, as I've been on every webinar in the last 6 weeks saying, we can't really count on 2020 data. I mean, it's accurate, but now we're looking at 2019. And today I was in Monterey telling people like March of 2018, and I think they wanted to turn me off, but I was just trying to show that there's just, sometimes you have to go back a long ways to talk about what's really, normal, what's consistent, what's the anomaly here, why is this unusual, all
right.
of those things. So we're trying to help go back deeper, because it is sometimes harder to get some of that deeper data and show relative context, because you tell your client, well, the median price in Campbell is 1.6 million, and they say, great, what does that mean? Well, it has never been that high. Actually, it's the second highest. We haven't
right.
seen this since 2018. No, this is not a bubble. That kind of content is, it's the conversations we're having out there.
Right. And I think it's not only the content in your county. Let's go back to, 2019 when we were, the business was booming. 2018 was a fantastic year. We all paid attention to our county. But, shelter in place, COVID changed little things, and people are migrating out now. Maybe a good thing is, watch that Santa Cruz County video too, right? Watch the San Benito one.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are moving to Hollister. Hey, Carlos, Hollister.
Yeah, Hollister
people are moving, and we saw an all-time high price point in December.
Right.
December for San Benito County, right? And so that was off a lot of closed sales, a relatively high number of closed sales, and we don't get the new build. So Santa Cruz Mountains, we're seeing all time. I just was on with Carmel this morning telling them, hey, January was an all-time high price point again. It's happening all around us. And so,
right.
Yes, as we move and as people start to say, hey, I can manage that commute. I'd love to have more space or just a change of pace. Well, it's driving up prices, especially to our south.
Got it. Hey, you think we should put Dave Wetzel on the spot? Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes.
No, always. I want no part of that, Dave. I said nothing.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah. Dave, I just want to ask, NorCal Data Alliance, right? We're sharing data. Will there be a day that we get to use, the tools of Aculus, but use the data from Alameda County? Or
oh my God, I was going to ask the same question. I was sitting here thinking. I was thinking to myself, this would be cool for like Sacramento and the other areas.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, so I think what's been really beneficial for this whole Northern California Alliance is it's brought the 7 MLSs closer together.
Okay.
So in the past, when we asked, can we do that? They were like, I don't think so. Now though, if we have questions or we have a dialogue around this, the other MLSs sit down to the table and say, well, what do we need to make this happen? What is the best in the best interest of the professionals in the area?
Right.
The area being Northern California.
Correct.
So I don't have an answer for you that says, yes, we'll be able to do that, Jody, by such and such time. However, but the dialogue is happening. And that's a big movement right there. Just having the dialogue is something we wouldn't be able to have done before.
Right. No, absolutely.
I think that would help. I would think it would help agents if they could pull in other counties, have conversations with clients currently. And if there's a way to integrate some type of a referral system so that you can then look for an agent up there that it can be beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, well, remember having the data right now of who's listing, what the agents are up there. You have the information about who's there and what they have in their inventory, but you don't have all of the data points there. So if you have somebody that's selling their house here and they want to move over there, wherever wherever that is over there, you know, you having all of that knowledge that Michelle was just talking about, to have that dialogue is, I think, what did you say, Michelle? It's about the dialogue.
Yeah.
So having all of that information to build that dialogue is important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Oh. And absolutely, we've got the Daly City agent selling in San Francisco, and you got the Milpitas agent selling in Fremont. Yeah, our borders touch, and borders do, agents do go right across the border. They may not go 9 counties over, but they are going to go maybe just across the bay. So it's always changing, Dave. You definitely got lots to do and plenty of time to get it done. So
by Friday, right?
By Friday, yeah. That's what Jody needs. Jody, I think there was that was Bill Powers. Thank you, Bill, for your comment. Appreciate it. You can all check in the box there. Bill's being very complimentary to you, Dave. So okay, well, any other questions out there, Jody, that we can assist with?
Not that I can see. He's asking if there's a session. So we can put a session together on the members only and how it applies to DOM. That's something we can definitely do for the future.
Okay.
To just talk about that, maybe talk about the Data Alliance later in the year and see, what has evolved and maybe where some of these conversations are going. But I don't see anything new.
Okay. Yeah, because the Alliance is evolving, right, Dave? It's you guys had a focus, but now it's really going to start to branch out.
It is. So the focus before was to get to that mid-January time to get the data flowing.
Right.
And now we're looking at bigger and better things. One example that we're talking about right now is something that no other data share does in this nation that I'm aware of, and that is, what if you were able to create a listing here in our system, but the house or the property was in another geography and that is in one of the other MLSs. And what if we allowed you to put it on the broker tour, put it on tour over there? I mean, of course, you have to follow all the rules because every association has different rules about the tours. But assuming you follow the rules, why wouldn't you be able to put it on tour there, or vice versa, have them put it on tour here, following our rules? That's so that the data around tours is not consistent. It's behind the scenes. It's a big challenge to do that, but we're working with the other MLSs and saying, wouldn't that be interesting? Let's tackle that challenge. It might take us a little while to get there, but nobody else is looking at that challenge. So things like that we're having these dialogues with the other 6 MLSs and saying, this would be cool, that would be cool. What about this? And it's all coming back to what do our subscribers need?
Right. And that's where we share the same world, Jody, because your member is my subscriber. What can we do on a daily, weekly basis to help them progress and to succeed? AccuList is one of those things. It is a goldmine of not only data, but the analysis behind the data. And I think it's a marriage of 2 great things. Michelle, where are you going to take us next month? You saved something, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would just be like, let's all hang on for another hour. No, I'll be back to talk about, the start of the year. It's off and running, very consistent, everything. Anyway, we'll talk about it. But I did want to mention, if anyone missed the MLS Listings Live with Elliot Eisenberg, he's Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, our partner economist, that's going to be pulled off the internet here in the next couple of days. So I have a note to myself on Wednesday to get that back off per his request. And so if anyone missed that MLS Listings Live where he talked about things I can't, right? We can't be forward looking, but he's a national guy. He brought in lots of thoughts on Prop 19, and he talked about purchasing power, and he talked a little bit about migration and what's happening in different markets. So definitely go to YouTube, type in MLS Listings, and get to that in the next couple of days, or else, unfortunately, you're going to miss it. So I wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. All right, Jody. Hey, Jody, thank you for letting us play in your playground.
You are well in our sandbox. This is our
in your
sandbox where we come
Very
together
good.
and we
there you go.
Yep. And we started something new. So please, when the webinar is over, you'll get a little survey is going to pop up. I think we've got 3 questions just to share feedback. And if you've got an idea for next couple MLS listings Mondays with us, share your feedback.